What's going on, guys? Coach Vic here. Welcome to HITtalks, the baseball performance podcast. This episode is actually an Instagram live between myself and former teammate of mine, Devon Ramirez, aka World Baseball Traveler. Devon is a current pro in his 9th year of professional baseball. He is also going to be a player and coach at the same time at the professional level. He is a 2-time World Baseball Classic player, going for his 3rd this year until the coronavirus hit. He is also an international recruiter, helping ball players from all over the world sign contracts all over the world. Devon gets to play baseball, travel the world, and get paid to do it. It's an incredible conversation that we had together, sharing the knowledge that we have gained over the course of total 20 years of professional baseball playing experience. So I think you guys are going to love this conversation. Lots of golden nuggets in this one. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Devon Ramirez, aka World Baseball Traveler.
There we go. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, man?
Hey, just trying to survive, man, day by day, dude.
It's
trying to stay safe, trying to do my part.
Yep. Hold on. Let me get your volume down. There we go. So, man, shit, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has, man. It has. How you been? How's everything?
What was it? 5 years, right? It was 2015?
Yeah, 2015. Yeah.
It was in Palm Springs, right?
It was.
Okay.
Yep. The old veteran showing me the ropes, man.
That's right. I was the oldie but goodie, right?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Hey, man, you're like fine wine, bro. You get better with age.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. It's the Italian in me.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, hey, man, let's first, while people are still joining in, we got a handful of people. Fill me in, catch us up on just kind of where you've been, just bullet points on your life up until now, because it's been so long since we've even talked. It'll be a refresher for me.
I think when I met you, I had played a couple seasons of pro ball here in America, and then shortly after meeting you, did one more season of pro ball, and then had a buddy who played in Australia, reached out to him, found my way to Australia. And then the last 5 years, man, just going back and forth from Australia to Europe. Also did a little bit of a stint one summer doing about 7 weeks in Europe, coming back as a player coach in indie ball, going back out to Europe. So, yeah, man, just trying to help guys get overseas, trying to continue playing overseas, and just enjoying the journey, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I bet you got some stories, man.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of things.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've played so much and been all over the place, but like you've really been all over. I know I played in Hawaii for a summer. That was fun. Got to go to Japan. We only went to Japan for like a few days. It was kind of really short trip, but I've played all over the country, and maybe briefly in Mexico. But like you've really been all over, and you've really got to experience like how much baseball is actually out there.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
I think most of the people that, like the kids that follow me on Instagram or just on any of my channels, like I don't think they realize that yet. Or even the kids that I work with one-on-one, locally, like their world hasn't been opened up to that. And everything is about the MLB.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not, and it took me my entire career to the age of 30 years old after that last season, 2015, because that ended up being my last year. I was so bitter that I didn't make it, that is like,
yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
It just didn't go as I had dreamed, as I had hoped. And I was bitter toward the game, but the game didn't do anything to me. The game was there for me. So I had to have that mindset shift. It's like, man, that game was there for me when I needed it. It gave me the experiences that I've had, and will continue to have. So I think that's just a big, huge thing for kids to start to understand, is that if you want to play baseball and you really love it, you can play this game for a very long time. You may not make millions of dollars doing it, but you can do it, and you can still get paid and see the world.
And that's one thing I try to, when people reach out to me through my page, is there's no journey that holds more weight than another. I think one thing that we get kind of brainwashed here in America, where baseball is king, is if you don't make it to the MLB and you're not making millions of dollars, and it was kind of a failure. You kind of feel as if, and I did too, felt as if I didn't accomplish what I set out to accomplish, so therefore I was a failure. But in reality, from traveling and seeing the world and seeing the different types of baseball and getting back to why I love the game, every journey is different. You know, whether you made it to the major leagues, whether you traveled, whether you played college ball and then you started coaching, whatever it may be, your own journey is specific to you and it's special in its own way. So the second we start to compare ourselves to others is when we start to downplay what we've done so far in our own baseball journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, my friend. So then let's talk about what was going on this year? I mean, obviously we know COVID shut everybody down, shut down all baseball. You were about to be on your third World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, so got offered to play in my third WBC.
Nice.
First one was in Taiwan, second in Sydney. This one was supposed to be in Arizona. Was on the roster for that, still am. So just kind of waiting for this whole COVID thing to pass through. But yeah, I'm on my way to do that. And then I was supposed to go from a week in Arizona of WBC, literally after last game, jump on a flight and fly to Germany to be a player coach for the Regensburg Legionnaire and to also be a pitching coach in the MLB academy they have out there in Europe.
Nice. Doing it all. And it looked like you're doing some hitting too, man. I saw you with some tape on.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things I found overseas is when you met me, you know, got pigeonholed into being a pitcher because, you know, when we grew up playing baseball, it was you're either a position player because you got some pop, or you're a pitcher because you got some good velo. And for me, I didn't fit into the category of pop. My number one thing has been being an athlete, being able to play multiple positions and doing it pretty well. So they appreciate that a little bit more. So I was able to hit and pitch, which it's another reason why I kind of fell in love with the overseas style of baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the thing. I kind of kicked myself because I don't remember what year it was. It might have been prior to my last couple seasons where I was I might have been battling an injury, I think, at the time. But I had had a conversation with Jerry Weinstein. You know Jerry Weinstein?
Yep.
He had mentioned to me that he knew somebody in Italy. Because I'm actually first generation Italian. So I technically could have been, pretty easily eligible to play.
You get that passport because you're first generation, that Italian passport, man, it's off to the races for you.
Yeah, so I had that opportunity to, or at least maybe at the time it wasn't for the classic itself, but just to go and play overseas. And because it wasn't the MLB, I just kind of was like, I even said, I was like, I'm not ready for that. Thinking that I'll get there. When I'm there, then but then it never came, and I was bitter. And then life goes on. We advance and we get, more settled into our hometown, get married and have kids, and the opportunities, not that they can't happen, but they're a little more tricky, right?
Yes, definitely.
So I encourage guys that just to understand that if you really love this, and I said this when we first started, but if you really love baseball, you can play this game for a very long time and actually make some pretty decent money. Decent, okay? Not big league money. Not big league money, but enough money to enjoy yourself and to have one hell of an experience playing the game and just learning about life.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up because every time I come back home and I hang out with friends or I'm working out at a betting cage or something like that, and people talk to me, one of the first questions that come up is, how much money are you making? Or and I try to explain this to people. You have to realize that when you start to put things on a monetary value, you kind of miss out on the beautiful things that you may come across. For me, playing overseas has nothing to do with making a bunch of money. It really doesn't. You make enough money while you're there to enjoy yourself and to travel and to not have to worry about bills and things like that. Yeah. But the bigger picture of it all is while you're over there, you're seeing different cultures, different people. I mean, you're seeing the sights. I mean, for example, to be in Australia and take a 14-hour drive up the coast of Western Australia and really see what the outback looks like, and the emus on the side of the road and the lizards crossing the street, and then you get up to this little town and you go swimming with whale sharks, man. It's Did I care about making millions of dollars? No. But do I have that memory for the rest of my life? Yes.
Yes, exactly. It's having your shifting your focus a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, money's
Yeah.
nice, but hey, you're not. Most people are not going to, not have a roof over their head or not be able to put food in their mouth. Like you're,
Hmm.
you find a way.
Yeah.
It's not do or die to make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like you realize people can make as low as $30,000-$40,000 a year and be totally fine and happy
Hmm.
with their lives.
Hmm.
And then you tack on the experience, like you said, the experience, the travel, the getting to see the world, how big this world really is. There's a saying, it's a small world. It's not a small world. It's a small baseball world. It's a small, when you run into somebody that from your hometown and they knew somebody from the town over and everybody's like, oh, it's a small world. No, it's not. It's a small, like 2 towns that you're talking about.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're not talking about the world here. There's a lot of people out there that you can't even comprehend. And there's just so much to see and there's so much that we will never see
Hmm.
that you can't even grasp it. And then you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I even hope to one day be able to go and travel just with my family, just for fun. But to be able to go and do it as a baseball player and be like a professional baseball player and get paid to do it, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate enough the last couple of years to do that with my family. It's nice to helps that my wife has a Swiss passport, so that helps as well
Oh, nice.
because going in and outside of Europe makes it extremely easy. But to again, just to go experience the world is awesome. And for you, being first generation Italian, you get that Italian passport, man. Like there's still plenty of opportunities for you to coach overseas and take your family with you, or
Yeah,
jump onto a classic team, or even just a team for 6 months and help coach. I mean, the
true. Yeah.
possibilities are truly endless.
And yeah, you can, like, if you happen to be a player, most players, maybe not most, but a lot of players obviously get into coaching. You truly
Yeah,
love the game. It's like, so you
yeah,
can literally be involved, be on a baseball field till you're 70 years old. You
yeah,
could be
yeah.
coaching,
Really,
you can
really.
like, till you're 70, 80 years old, as long as you can find a way to get to and from the field, you can be on a baseball field. So there's
Hmm.
truly, like,
Definitely.
there's no limit to your career in baseball. And so I think that again, that's just a very valuable thing for kids to start to just kind of understand that there's so much out there, and understanding that the Major League Baseball, there's only, what is it, 750 spots
Yeah, something
available
like
at
that.
any
Yep.
given
Hmm.
time, right? So what is it, 25 times 30, whatever that is, right?
And
So
that might be
700 and something,
decreasing.
and that might be decreasing. They're
Yeah,
knocking off 40 teams in the minor leagues,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's going to become, and who knows how many rounds they're going to drop off in the draft, right?
Hmm.
So it's going to be harder numbers statistically to get into affiliated baseball.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and if you don't have those you know um, elite tools, 95 plus fastballs, light
Hmm.
tower power, blazing speed. It's going to be very difficult to get attention. And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
anybody should give up trying, but you have to understand the numbers here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players that have strong physical tools that are going to be gunning for the big leagues.
Hmm.
And your opportunity just may not fall in line,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I was just talking to my wife about it. I would say, and you can give me your opinion, I would say maybe between 18 and 22, 23 years old, maybe pushing it even, is your
Yeah.
kind of your window for getting the eyes, getting the attention of big league scouts and teams.
I
Would
mean,
you say?
I would definitely say so for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
another thing with social media and being able to get out there and see more, and there's kids all around the world, 18, 19 years old, and throwing 95, hitting
Yeah.
balls, off the scoreboard, over the scoreboard. So there is far more competition nowadays than there were when me and you were playing,
Yeah.
pro ball. But
Or it's easier to find it.
easier to find guys. So
Yeah.
that window starts to get smaller and smaller, and I've had kids like high school kids and college kids reach out to me and ask me, hey, I want to play overseas and this and that. I first always lead off with the fact that if you're in high school, go to college. Go chase that college atmosphere, chase the college knowledge, because what you'll gain as a person being in college is going to help you further on in your baseball life or even just life in general, right?
Yeah.
And then the college kids that reach out to me, try playing pro ball. Try a season of indie ball if you can. Try a season if you get drafted. Go in that direction, because that's truly the grind of baseball.
Yeah.
Then after that, there's international baseball. There's Japan and Taiwan and Mexico that treat it extremely seriously, just like we do here.
Yeah.
Then there's countries that people don't even know about. I mean, there's Split Croatia that has a league. There's Vienna that has a league. There's Poland that has a league.
Wow.
And those are not the highest of competition levels, but it's still flights paid for, accommodation paid for, and you're playing.
Yeah.
And you're traveling while you're doing it. Then you got Netherlands, Italy, Germany, Czech Republic that have really, really quality talent baseball players that is going to give you that day in and day out grind. But it's a little bit more fun because you don't have to worry about going home. They're not just going to send you home because you had 3 or 4 bad games. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes, you still have to go out there and prove yourself, because at the end of the day, there is competition and there is a reason why they brought you out, and you have to compete. But at the same time, they bring you in like family and they take care of you. And it's your job to go out there and prove yourself on a day in and day out basis.
And that's what it's all about, proving yourself. Like, I think there's also the mindset in younger players that, and this kind of maybe a little bit off track, but I think it kind of connects, is like shying away from that something's not an easy, right? Or that it's not the big leagues, or that it's too easy, or it's not easy enough. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of players in college that when they face any bit of adversity, or even high school, obviously, but especially even in college, when they face that adversity, they shy away. They don't want it. But the adversity, that's where you grow. That's where you get better, right? Same thing, you're trying to build big muscles. What do you got to do? You got to put stress. You got to train with resistance to build those muscles up. Same thing with your mind. To train your mental muscles, you need repetitions. You need to put stress, like good stress, on those muscles in order for them to grow and get stronger. And so, like, going through the tough times, like trying to get into independent ball, you're going to play in some pretty rough places.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and it is going to stress those muscles. So experience in life, especially the stressors, are going to make you stronger when you come out the other end.
Yeah.
If you allow it.
Yeah.
Of course, you can play the victim card, or you can let those stressors build you up and make you stronger. And so going through baseball and going through all these ups and downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly, like, you're going to come out the other side a better person for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you talk about putting those stresses on yourself, regardless of where you play, or even in life in general, you're going to be put in stressful situations. But I think one thing that we learned in the game of baseball especially is how to deal with those failures and how to bounce back and how to be resilient. You don't get to go overseas just because you're just a regular guy and you just can't handle those things. You go overseas because you can, right?
Sure.
You go for me personally, going overseas, jumping off a plane and having to deal with not only the baseball side of things, meeting new people, gelling with a new team, but you've got to handle the fact that I don't know how I'm going to survive once I get off this plane, and it's a panic attack. But then you start to figure it out because you're resilient. I opened my own bank account. I found my own job. I learned how to manage my own money because it's the big boy world now. You know what I mean? It's not just in college where you're in a dorm and or even pro ball where your dorm is taken care of, or where you're living is taken care of, and then your after meals are taken care of. I mean, this is full on life thrown at you at 100 miles an hour.
Slow one early. You gotta slow it down, man. Keep it simple. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't even experienced that where I would, because you obviously go with teams, but I can imagine, like, hey, Italy wants me. Now, I don't speak Italian or anything, so if I go over there and show up, and it's like I got to get myself through the airport, I got to get myself some lunch to be able to communicate with these people, and I don't know what the heck they're saying.
Oh yeah.
I know we talk with our hands a lot. but it wouldn't do me any good. But
Yeah.
it forces you to learn. It
Oh yeah.
forces you to grow, and I think in the end, it would be so worth it, you know. So like,
I
what would
could.
you?
No,
No,
go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
I
No,
was
you.
gonna say, I could definitely attest to the fact that who I was 5 years ago is completely different to the person I am today.
Yeah.
Just simply from growing, learning, and experiencing more in life. And I think I hit the fast track with that because of the traveling and the baseball side of things. Jumping on a flight, learning how to get on a flight for 24 hours, taking the layovers, which are 10 hours, and not being afraid to experience things. I think that's another thing that we should touch on is going out there and experiencing life. Don't be the person that stays inside your bubble. Go experience life. Put yourself out there. If you got a 10-hour layover on one of your flights, dude, go explore that country, wherever you're at for
Yeah.
those 10 hours. I mean, I was in Amsterdam and we had a 14-hour layover and we went and experienced Amsterdam for 14 hours and made it back
Nice.
to jump on my next flight, you know?
Go for it. Be bold. Be
Yeah.
bold and be curious. I think that's
Yes.
another thing
Yes.
that can kind of some people can kind of get trained out of in a
Yeah.
way, or
Yeah.
just over if maybe your upbringing, like it's just kind of a shied away from curiosity.
Hmm.
That's a natural thing for us. Like my daughter, she's 17 months.
Hmm.
She's so curious, but that is just her natural, that is human beings, that's our natural state, is to be curious, to explore. But over time, that can kind of get, like I said, unlearned. It can get
Yeah.
tamed down where
Yeah.
you're just no longer searching. And if you're
Yeah.
not searching, you're not going to grow. If you're not
Hmm.
seeking more answers to things, if you're not asking questions, you're not learning. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're just kind of stagnant.
Yeah.
For the truth is, there actually is no stagnant. Like there is no staying still, staying the same, because time will still pass. And it's kind of, you're either going one direction or the other.
Yeah.
You,
It's a
you
good point.
become you become old and bitter, if you don't grow. You're still
Yeah.
changing. You're just going the
Yeah.
other direction.
Yeah.
So nothing. That's the only thing that's like really for certain is that everything changes.
Hmm.
Time passes. We grow old, and our days are numbered. Everybody on this planet has a certain number of days left.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's a little deep, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to grasp that we're not going to be around forever.
That's part of
See it?
the why I keep wanting to continue traveling and keep experiencing, because I mean you only get one life to live, man, and you might as well live it to the fullest. You know what I mean? And one thing that I think that I learned from overseas is it's not about what you have, but it's about the effect or the effect you have on people that you come into contact with, and to be able to meet a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life just helps you grow, and then you widen that base of positivity.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Um, so we have like a handful of people on here. Guys that are listening, just feel free to shoot out questions anytime. There's enough people where we can probably manage to keep an eye on questions. In the meantime, we're just kind of spitballing. What would you say to like, what do you think in terms of, so MLB, they look for the five tools,
Hmm.
right? What do you think? Is there any difference when you're talking about overseas? I mean, I kind of know where you're going to go, but I want to hear it from you. So, like, you got
um,
the five tools here. What tools would like international baseball look for?
for me on the coaching side, one thing that I've learned that is probably the most important is obviously tools are important. Being able to find that guy that can go out there every other game and dominate on the hill, or the import you bring over that swings his stick and he becomes, that 3-4 hole hitter or that leadoff hitter that is a monster in every statistical category. But I think the biggest thing is being a good teammate. I think one thing that's a little bit underrated and what people don't realize when they go overseas is being able to gel with guys. Being able to get off the plane and create a brotherhood or a friendship that guys respond to. I find a lot that it's cool to be the import that comes over and he's just a monster for 6 months, but those guys aren't remembered. Those guys aren't brought back for multiple seasons. At the end of the day, it's their team, that you're
Yeah.
joining. And it's your job to go out there and be an ambassador for us as Americans and us as American baseball players, but just an ambassador for the game. I would say number one is being a good teammate. And then the intangibles after that, or the tools after that, is they're going to go out and find a guy that can dominate on the hill. I would say on a day in and day out basis, you're facing a guy from that country that you're in. You're probably facing 88, 89. Some guys will be low 90s. And then when you face the import, the guy they brought out, it's going to be 90 plus, 92, 93, 94 with good off speed stuff. Same thing goes for hitters. For me, and facing guys, haven't seen the amount of pitches that a lot of us have seen. So you can kind of exploit certain counts. Guys are trying to jump first pitch fastball. They don't expect you to be able to locate off-speed pitches. But when the import hitter comes over, that's the guy you bear down to. And those guys usually feast over there because they can handle the off-speed pitches. They can handle the high velocity. They know how to put together a complete at-bat. So those are the kind of things. I think I might have touched on your question a little bit there, but those are the kind of things I guess that I find personally guys are looking for overseas, because they're going to get emails and emails and emails from guys that are absolute monsters or studs or have resumes or played D1 or things like that. But what makes you stand out is who you are as a person.
Nailed it. I mean, that's kind of where I thought ultimately you were going to go. And I think, you said it perfectly. And those things are also important here. And they're overlooked here. They're so focused on what do the scouts want to see. And similar thing in football, right? They have the combine, and they have those physical, structured measurements. Speed, their agility. They got the bench press, they got whatever, and those things are great. But everybody that dominates the combine in football, they do not dominate on the field necessarily. And they're the guys in baseball that are five tool, in BP in a structured environment. Yeah, they don't play well. Most of them do not. And you look at the big leagues. Not every guy is a 5-tool player. Yeah, right. They do other things very well, and they do as well as they possibly can in some of those other areas where they're weak. So, like Albert Pujols, for example, a great base runner, no speed. The guy in pain when he's running.
They're gonna blow out, but he'll get from point A to point B if you're lazy to a ball.
Dang. But he is a great base runner because he is smart. He knows the game. He knows when he should and should not run. So that makes him a great base runner, not his speed, or he's not a poor base runner because he's not slow. And I think we have to read between the lines, and we have to look beneath the surface. All those tools, they have to translate into a game for you to truly be a 5-tool player. If they do not, you are not a 5-tool player. Yeah. I like to talk about the 6th tool, and the mental game. If you do not, and I think that's kind of the glue that holds it all together, and that's the glue that can take those 5 tools and actually put them to good use, when competition comes around. And when you talk about teamwork and you talk about, how you communicate with guys and like the culture and just how you gel and mesh with your teammates, I used to look down on this. I used to hear people say, "Oh, this guy's just a really good team guy," and I'd be like, I hit bombs. Forget it. I throw 95. I don't need to be a good team guy. Who cares? It's so true. I was absolutely 100% wrong. Had I been a good team guy, or just a good all-around, had a better mindset, better team guy, better to be around, although I got along with my teammates, but when things didn't go my way, I would not be so happy or be so fun to be around. And that is so important, and guys don't realize that, especially when you're trying to go big leagues. If you upset the wrong person,
oh man,
goodbye.
Yeah, it's a wrap for you.
There are so many variables, and there are so many things that can go wrong that can lead you off the course to the major leagues, and we don't see all those variables.
Yeah.
And so that means also when you do, you may think you do everything right, or you could do everything right, put up numbers, play D1, be an absolute stud, and not make the major leagues. Like, it happens all the
All the
time.
time.
What do those guys do with themselves? Or what do they do after that? That's their choice. But not a lot of them, end up being pretty bitter about their whole journey. And they fail to see, the experience that they had.
I mean, for me, I thought it was a eye-opening experience because I always grew up thinking as long as I put up the numbers and I was a standout guy, I would make it.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's so many different variables, and I didn't see that side of things until, I started coaching overseas and having to do my own recruitment of players and having to go through 20 or 30 guys and which two guys do I want to bring out? And it always came back to, well, I've got 10 guys out of 30 that can produce. Now, which two guys can produce for me in terms of team chemistry? Which two guys can I put out there on the field to make the guys beside them want to perform even better? And then I saw that when I went and did the indie ball coaching thing. For my first time ever being in on a meeting with the Reds and the Pirates who came out to see, we had two guys that were 99 to 102. I mean, these guys were monsters, dude, and they were on our indie ball team. I don't know why they were there, right? So
Two guys?
two guys. One guy
Wow.
6'8", the other guy 6'4", just throwing BBs, throwing pellets. And I'm in there on the meeting, and I'm like, okay, these two guys are gone. Like these guys are getting scooped up. 3 games in, it's over with. So the Reds and the Pirates come into a meeting, and I'm in there with the head coach. And to be on that side of things and to see that conversation take place kind of blew my mind. For the first 10, 15 minutes, it was never once talked about, well, what's their spin rate? What do their off-speed pitches look like? What does the ball look like coming out of their hand? Can they locate? I mean, it was 15 minutes of who are they as a person? What is their work ethic like? Do they get along with their teammates? Are those guys going out and partying? Are they taking this seriously? What does their home life look like? Do they have kids? Are they good fathers? Those kind of things. And for me, that was an eye-opening experience to be able to be in on that conversation and see how more in depth they go in terms of who do we sign. And one guy worked his tail off, phenomenal teammate, signed by the Pirates, and I think he's in Double-A right now. The other guy finished the rest of the indie ball season with us. And if he finished the rest of the indie ball season with us solely because his work ethic wasn't there. He was an eye guy. When it came time to, all the guys in the bullpen and they're talking and we're talking pitches and we're talking this, he has his headphones in and he's off doing his own thing. And that team camaraderie thing wasn't there. And they frowned upon that. They didn't like that. I mean, the guy, you're talking about intangibles, 6'8", 100 miles an hour. I mean, who wouldn't take a chance? But to see the in-depth that they go to finding the right guy, that blew my mind.
Wow. Yeah, I can only imagine the conversations they had about me. Because, dude, I had some tools too. I wasn't throwing 100, but I was throwing 94, 95 in college, hitting balls, metal bats, 500 feet, and same thing in pro ball, questionably 500-foot home runs. Like, I had the tools, plenty good of tools to be in the big leagues. Mostly arm and power, size, 6'3", 215, whatever. Like, those are good numbers for a big leaguer. But I didn't make it. And like I said, there could have been many variables that would allow me, or that would, I can't say for certain. Again, if I did everything right, there still would be one little thing that could have went wrong where one guy didn't like me for whatever reason, saw me on a bad day, or saw me throw my helmet or something. And then, that's it. And that could have been one thing, one mistake. And the thing is, when you do things, at least if you did everything to the best of your ability and the right way, right, where you are a good teammate, you do your stuff, you're respectful to everybody around, you're just a good guy to be around, and you play hard and you do your work and you do your stuff, like, you will have no regrets at the end. And I guess I should rephrase that. I don't have regrets. My only regrets are that maybe the people that I kind of brushed the wrong way. Along the way. But otherwise, everything kind of happened the way it was meant to be, I feel, because it led me to where I am now, and I'm not a millionaire. I'm okay with it. and I'm still alive. I'm still eating, probably a little too much. But life is good. Life has never been better, and I'm not a big leaguer, and I'm not a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have looked back on my career and reflected on it and learned from it. And so these guys that are listening to this or that see this in the replay of this, you are in the middle of that. You just don't see it yet. We are like, think of me and Devon and I as like, we're like you from the future. And we have come back. We have come back to tell you what is coming, because there are a lot of different journeys, but ultimately the lessons that are learned are really the same.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Getting into coaching, your mindset, like those things are very, very similar. The journey and how you get there is different for everybody. But the guys that see this, you're in the middle of your journey. We have seen the end. We've seen what it's like. And so if you can take from us whatever you can, and apply it to your current situation that you're in, that's how you get results above other people, because you take those that have came before you learn from them and apply it to your life. If we all had to learn on our own through our own experiences, we would be nowhere. We'd still be inventing fire. We'd still be searching for fire, right? We'd still be scraping rocks together trying to start a fire, because we had to learn. The first cavemen discovered fire. The next generation of cavemen already had fire, so they can take it to the next level and start learn to cook their food, right? And then they can better their technology to hunt and fish and feed their families. You had to build off of what came before you.
And that's a huge point, because that's, I think, one of the reasons that gets me out of bed in the morning in terms of baseball is to give back to the next generation of ball players. Mm-hmm. I mean, I used to be told all the time by my dad, by coaches, it's learn from my mistakes, right? And everybody else says learn from our mistakes, and you want to shoot to be better than us, but don't try to make the same mistakes that we made, and things like that, things along those lines. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that I wish I would have listened to those things along the way, because there are certain, again, everything happens for a reason. I think if I would have made it to the major leagues, made millions of dollars, I would probably be a very unlikable person, to be honest, because my head was huge, and I thought I was the man, and I didn't really care how my interactions with people went. And it wasn't until living the journey that I lived to where I value my connections with people, and I value the knowledge that I can impart upon the younger generation. And not only just that, but I think it's a give and take, because to understand somebody allows that person to also learn from you. If you don't show any understanding to that next ball player, then that guy's going to look at you and go, well, there's no reason for me to listen to you because we don't connect. So that's a huge point, is learning from the guys that have been there and done that. Because if you could only realize that it only takes one mistake to throw you off from reaching your ultimate goal, or not even a mistake, but just one interaction that didn't go well, and one person saying, you know what, that's not the guy for us, it's really that easy to not get to where you want to go to.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.